blue laws are a bad idea. They are generally passed to support the religious views of the majority at that time. And generally these blue laws are pretty dated. You cannot push your religious sensibilities through law without trespassing on the religious sensibilities of someone else, perhaps your next door neighbor. To me, this is the equivalent of Protestant Germans passing restrictive legislation on Jews, those of the Jewish faith. If it's against your religious code of conduct to not buy a blue hat on Sunday, by all means, you have the right to not buy a blue hat on Sunday. But to say that no one should be able to buy a blue hat on Sunday because it somehow offends you is really tyrannical and oppressive to everyone but you. That's not fair. This can only lead to tension amongst neighbors, further decaying the foundation of a community. Again, it's something government gets involved in that they have absolutely no business getting involved in.
Big melting pot, separation of church and state is the only way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the founding fathers, in my opinion, were incredibly intelligent people. They didn't always agree on every little detail, but Constitution's, best they came up with, and I think it's pretty darn good. And yes, I do think it's still relevant today if we went back to following it.
One of the complaints I always hear about people that are you for church and state to be merged is that their morals and the Ten Commandments, etc., is things that society are based upon. It's not what society is based upon. What society is based upon is a common set of rules that everybody agrees upon, and it's common sense. It's not the fact that it was put on the Ten Commandments or any other religion that defines certain sins, whatever it might be in their religion. That's not the point. That's not where it came from. It's a common set of rules that everybody agreed upon.
Right.
I don't want to steal anything from you because I don't want you to steal anything from me. It's an infringement upon one destiny to another. It's not just strict religion.
Absolutely, and I feel the same way about gambling. I mean, no one's putting a gun to anybody's head and making them gamble. If you're against gambling, no one or no government should be able to make you gamble. However, if you find it fit to gamble, it's your hard-earned money to gamble with. Just don't expect me or anyone else to bail you out of any negative consequences. Basically, people should take back personal responsibility for their own actions.
I would just like to also talk about, it says New Hampshire is #2 overall, and during their primary, their caucus.
I believe New Hampshire's #1.
New Hampshire's #1.
I believe South Dakota got #2.
Okay. Well, New Hampshire was #1. Pardon me. And during the caucus, I was really disappointed that I believe they ended up deciding on Mitt Romney, which I don't understand. They had Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, Rick Santorum, and Ron Paul all to choose from, which to me, for them, I would think that Ron Paul would be the obvious choice. Now, personally, I'm a Ron Paul supporter, but the fact that New Hampshire, is #1, and they constantly like to flaunt that. They constantly like.
I thought New Hampshire was the live free and die state. Yeah, what happened to that?
Constitutionalists, and they decided to go with Mitt Romney, who is basically the godfather of Obamacare, which constitutionalists and libertarians, and people that supposedly live in New Hampshire is what they're against, and that's who they decide to go with. I simply don't understand at all. It's very hypocritical, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true.
And South Dakota is kind of another one that's out of nowhere. I'm not really too educated or have very much experience with South Dakota, but that's really surprising to see them randomly pop up there. Over somewhere that's a little bit maybe more desolate, say Nevada or somewhere like that, Milwaukee, Colorado, something that's very rural, so to speak.
And we also wanted to interject our own ideas on own opinions, how to make Indiana more free and to increase individual liberty. The first thing that came to my mind was a school voucher system. At least that's what I call it. One can easily argue that education is right. I do not find it principally unethical to tax citizens to ensure an educated society, at least not on the state level. On 20 December 1786, Thomas Jefferson said, "Above all things, I hope the education of the common people will be attended to, convinced that on their own good sense we may rely with the most security for the preservation of a due degree of liberty." End quote. The problem I see today is that government is trying to take total control of yours and your education, your child's education. A philosophy that Americans cannot be trusted to look after themselves. I personally have faith in my fellow Americans, assuming that they will take back the power. I support a school voucher system, personally, where the average cost of education per year, determined by county, then the parents then receive a check for that amount. If the parents choose to homeschool by legal standards, which we already have in place, then that is acceptable. If a parent decides to break even and send their child to an average school, so to speak, that is their decision to make. They are the parents. It's their child, not anyone else's. If a parent is looking for more than one child, if a parent is looking for more for their child and can spend more than the amount received from the government, then it should be their freedom to do so, to make that investment. I also see this as a way to lean away from government inefficiency and back towards a free market system. I would encourage schools to find the most efficient way to provide a good product, meaning education. Another issue I see is that the federal government has gotten their dirty little hands into everything, including education. What makes them think that the executive branch, whether it be George W. Bush or Barack Obama, knows what is best for your child or for Indiana? A school voucher system would allow parents to choose a school that teaches to a standard that they see fit and avoiding unwanted philosophies drilled into your child's head. After all, again, it's your child, not the government's, at least not yet.
I would also like to touch on the smoking ban very quickly that just happened in Indiana, and it's kind of sickening right now that it's being portrayed as such a great bill passing all over the radio. I hear it constantly. I personally am not a smoker. Obviously, I think it's bad for your health, and a lot of the things that I'm trying to do and accomplish hinders me from being able to do those if I partake in smoking. However, it is legal and it is somebody else's right to smoke if they want. Now, the smoking ban, the problem I have with it, this is in Evansville, the problem I have with it, it's such an umbrella, and it actually tells companies whether or not they can allow smoking on their premises. Right. Now, this is a blatant infringement upon property rights. Now, nobody forces anybody to go to that particular place of business.
Right.
If it's a smoking area, you can avoid it. If there's a bar that's smoking that your friends want to go to, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's smoking, that's your choice if you want to go there or you want to go somewhere else. Now,
sorry to interrupt real quick, but I'm sorry, you just reminded me. I recently went to a bachelor's party in Chicago, of course, Illinois, and we got there early, and the what are you gonna call it? The barmaid, the bartender, the waitress, I believe her name was Mary. We were again some of the first people there. She was making small talk, and she was saying, how outrageous the cigarettes was. I was buying cigarettes, and she got talking about thank God for this smoking ban, because she works in a bar, and it was
she didn't have to work there.
So bad for health. Yeah, well, you beat me to the punch. Yeah, exactly. I mean, who put a gun to her head and made her work in a bar? If she's so concerned about her health, sorry.
It's so annoying to hear people like that because they don't like something that everybody else has to follow their rule. That's unbelievably arrogant. But not only that, but the free market, it should, which is being just held down right now, unfortunately, to such an extent that's keeping people from starting up new businesses. But a free market, if there was enough of a call for a non-smoking bar or a non-smoking club, there would be a non-smoking bar or club that pops up, which would be an alternative to the smoking bars and the smoking clubs or the smoking restaurants. You know, it should be up to the person that's the owner of that business and the owner of that property.
Absolutely.
Whether or not to allow smoking or not smoking. Nobody's forcing you to go in that place of business. I don't understand how people think that their own opinion pertains to everybody. Now, once again, I don't smoke. I don't like smoking. It prohibits me from doing things that I want to accomplish. But I'm not going to sit there and say, you know, my friends are going out to Buffalo Wild Wings or somewhere like that allows smoking, and I'm not going to try and go in there and say, how dare you allow smoking? I'm here right now. That's completely. That's
win in Rome.
Unbelievable. Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, we're coming up on another commercial already. I don't even know what it was. Okay. One of my big things is property tax reduction, or at least repeal. Property tax is a tax on the assessed value of things you own. This is another way that government gets its greedy little hands on your money and spends it on things the government has usually no business dictating or no business having any involvement. Furthermore, it hinders you from buying and owning things you might otherwise be able to afford. Now, I personally pay about $200 in property taxes a month on my house. Money that could otherwise go towards extracurricular activities for my children, their college fund, or creating a savings account for our family's financial security.
Pumping money in the economy.
Yeah, pumping money in the economy. And people are concerned about the housing market and what is seen as the fading American dream. As if affording and maintaining a house and your energy bills weren't hard enough already. Tempted to make some vectoring comments. The government is penalizing you for your success and spending it on things you did not elect to participate in. Robin Hood would be proud. I personally find this as a hindrance to upwards mobility. What do you think?
I completely agree that this whole disdain for people that are becoming successful and penalizing them for with more taxes, more regulations, things of that sort, it's very sad. There used to be a day and age whenever somebody had a nice piece of property or a nice car, people would look up to that person.
Yeah.
And right now it's just saying, how dare they? Why do they have to have that nice car? Why do they have to have that nice piece of land? And unfortunately, that's the trend that's following. But people like that are, like I said, I hate the word job creators, but they do create jobs. Now, there's nothing that should be stopping you, the individual, from creating your own place of business to be able to, to afford some of these things.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing that bugs me the most about this is if you work hard your whole life to pay off your house, pay out your car, get some retirement money, and you own that land, it's paid off. Why do you have to continue to pay the government to keep it? Once you retire and on reduced income, why can't you just sit back on your pond and fish and have your chicken eggs? You still probably have a heating bill if you're going to chop wood and throw it in an iron stove, but I'm sorry. Oh, we're already to another commercial break, so I'm going to stop rambling.
Imagine finding a new home, a pale blue dot just like our own. To science fiction fantasies I'll never ever know. I'd kill for just a little taste, a little bit of outer space, a little bit of proof. One telescope is all I got, too dumb to be an astronaut, and born a bit too soon. I was born a bit too soon.
This episode is brought to you by Superior Tactical Solutions. please consider checking out our sponsor at www.superiortactical.com.